All right, so we're gonna get into working on this Mark V and getting the all-wheel drive conversion done, or at least started anyways in this video. Hey guys, before I get too far into this thing, I just remembered to grab the camera. I decided to spend some time tonight to work on the all-wheel drive conversion. So a couple of things I want to go over with you so you can see what I'm tearing apart. Also, I'll show you guys that I noticed on the last pull on the dyno from the last video that at the very end of the pull, I noticed in the logs that the boost had fallen off. It didn't really show it in the dyno graph, but as you can see up in here, the charge pipe right directly off of the turbo popped off. So part of the reason some of the pipes are popping off, the owner of this vehicle lives a few hours away from us, and I had shipped him up a transmission after he grenaded the last one, and he had a buddy of his chuck that in. So I suspect what happened is the engine got tilted quite a bit and basically put a little bit of strain on some of the couplers, hence why some of these have been popping off now. So anyways, something to know for when we put the car back on the dyno, and make sure to go through everything and make sure everything's nice and tight. So yeah, let's get into showing you what I've got taken apart so far. So what I've done so far is I've just taken the bracket off, the back one back here, just below the exhaust. I've taken off the rear exhaust, as you can see. Also, I've clearly taken the wheels off. I disconnected the caliper, just zip tied that up out of the way. I've taken out the rear spring and disconnected the rear shock, as you can see. I've done that on both sides. I've also remove this brake line that goes across to the passenger side. I believe this is going to be a different line, but I've just left it connected and just unclipped it from the rear subframe so that I don't have brake fluid dripping on me the whole time I do this. So like I said, this is likely going to be replaced, but I'm just leaving it connected for now. So really all I have left, I've disconnected the emergency brake cables. So all I really have left is this bolt here, and these 4 bolts here, which are going to be on both sides, of course. And then the rear subframe should just come right out, and then we got to deal with the gas tank, of course. But just to kind of bring you guys up to speed, I wanted to show you what has been done so far, and when I get the rear subframe out, we'll continue on the conversation. Okay, so we got a little bit further with it. So I'm going to show you what I got done here, and I'm going to call it for the night. So here we go. So as you can see, I have dropped the rear subframe, the brakes, everything kind of attached to it, and some of the suspension and calipers and stuff like that. As I mentioned, I just left all up in here, the brake line, as I mentioned. So to get this piece out, it's only 4 bolts, or sorry, let me rephrase that. It's 4 bolts in the front here on both sides, and then 4 bolts for the actual subframe part itself. It literally only took a few minutes to get out once I had, you know, the brakes and stuff like that already disconnected. So the subframe itself came out very easily. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for tonight. We're gonna try to get the gas tank and stuff out tomorrow, get a little bit further with this thing. So I don't think there's anything else really I can show you that I might have missed. I'll flick my light back on here so you'll be able to see a little bit better. But yeah, so we still got to take out the gas tank and some of the heat shield, stuff like that. I haven't done an all-wheel drive swap in one of these cars yet, although I've done them in some other vehicles. So there's going to be a few things that are going to be new to us as I go, but have a pretty good idea what we're going to need to do here. So on that note, we'll see you tomorrow. So before we get too far into this, There's a couple things in the first video that I kind of forgot to mention, so we're just gonna kind of go over those things now. One thing that we did, because this guy had planned on drag racing in this a little bit, is we put the brakes off of the front brakes off of a Rabbit, so that the guy could run 15-inch wheels to give him a larger sidewall on his tires. As you've seen in the first video also, it does have custom paint. This isn't a decal or anything like that. This is actually painted on here. Also, the arches have been widened in the rear. So if it looks a little bit wide, that's because it is. And the work has been, you know, it's flawless. You can barely tell that this thing's been modified. Also, this car used to have air ride on it. As he started to push it for more power, he decided to ditch the air ride. It now has a set of ST coilovers. We're probably going to stick with these for a while. They do ride really well. This car doesn't see much time in the summer, just kind of a weekend warrior type of vehicle. You also would have seen it has an integrated engineering intake manifold. It has a fluid damper as well, but as I mentioned in the last video, the engine itself is all stock except for a set of IE connecting rods. Okay, we're back at it tonight, and we got the gas tank out. Just want to show you a little bit of the stuff that we got done. Clayton came over and gave me a hand. Gas tank is out, and the new rear end that's going to be going in is just laying on the floor here now, so we can size up what part of the pan needs to be trimmed up. And to kind of show you some of the stuff that we disconnected, Clayton, I don't know which stuff that you had done. We basically took out the heat shield that you had seen from earlier in the video.
Yeah, this heat shield, and then the one on the gas tank instead.
Oh yeah, all right.
You undid the fuel.
Yeah, all the fuel lines.
Fuel filter lines, the evap lines, and then there was just the one strap for the gas tank. And then we just had to undo 2 bolts that went through the plastic tabs on the tank, and then really it came out.
Right. So, all in all, pretty easy. It took the two of us, I don't know, maybe an hour to get it out. And then, oh yeah, inside the car we had to
disconnect the fuel pump line, or the fuel pump module.
Right. So yeah, inside the car, just unplugged that, and that was pretty much it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to just kind of get this set up on some milk crates or something like that, and just kind of line it up and try to bolt it up in place and see where it's going to touch. Like I said, I have a good idea where it needs to be modified, but we're going to test that out now. We'll probably show you that just in a couple minutes here. Okay, so we kind of temporarily mocked up the rear subframe. Obviously the gas tank is going to go in up above this, but we just wanted to get an idea of how the fitment is and where it's going to need to be trimmed up. So I'm just going to show you guys that now. So this will bolt up into here, and this will bolt up into here. Drop that brake line so that you guys, so then if you just see right in here where the diff and where the diff mounts actually is hitting now into the spare tire well. So the spare tire well is going to need to be trimmed along here and then modified up, obviously, to get the diff and everything to come up the distance it needs to come. So as you can see, I mean, it's really cockeyed right now, but it's like, you know, 6 or 7 inches away from fitting up into place. So we're going to pull this back down. This was just to kind of get a visual. We got a good reference of what needs to be trimmed up. The charcoal canister and stuff is going to have to be addressed as well. But that's kind of it for this evening. Clayton, anything else you can think of?
No, maybe show a back view here.
Oh, here, I'll give you the camera. Okay, so that's going to be it for this evening. As you can see, we got as planned, we got the gas tank out, and we mocked up the new rear end. The next thing we're probably going to do for the next video is we'll be hacking apart the spare tire well. So on that note, be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions, please ask them below. myself or Clayton will do our best to answer. And until the next video, I don't know what to say.